So, for those of you who are just joining us, let me review. This is our 07 Civic EX, and it's a bit of a rat trap. Had an R18 motor. We have a K-Series motor, but not just any K-Series motor. This is a K24 8th from a Acura TSX. Now, again, if you're just joining us, go back and see some of the earlier episodes, and we'll show you how we actually got this in using a Hassport mount kit and what changes we had to make in order for this engine to work in this particular chassis. What I'm going to do right now is take it for a little test drive. We haven't tuned it yet. It's on basically a base tune for a K20 Z3, so probably going to be a little short on fuel, but it should be good enough to drive. And the reason I want to drive it without the tune is because I need to make sure nothing's going to go wrong, so when we bring it to the dyno, it's ready to tune. So, time to go. This car is a bit of a rat trap. You can see right here the steering wheel is totally worn down to the metal, and man, that stuff gets hot. And it's missing the shift knob, but I just happen to have this. This is the Buddy Club shift knob. I like to call this the summer-proof shift knob, because let me tell you, when cars bake in the sun here in Arizona, they get super duper hot. Black shift knobs, they don't work at all. This particular one, white and plastic, so it does not get that hot. It is the perfect shift knob for a car here in Arizona. The buzzing you hear is actually because it's a K24, the header's a little bit high and it's actually touching the bottom of the engine. We haven't done anything about that yet. We are going to do something about that, but not right now. So it touches a little bit, rattles a little bit. All right, test drive, here we go. Even without a tune, this thing is really fast. This is going to be a lot of fun. It feels like I have either too much or too little air in one of the tires, but other than that, this thing's ready for the dyno. I can't wait to see what kind of horsepower this thing makes. Hey guys, we are at Exact Dyno in Tempe, Arizona. We're going to have Tim do a little tuning. We are now kind of curious to see what kind of horsepower. So modifications on this engine are, it is going to be using a Flash Pro from Honda. It has the manifold from the 06 Civic Si throttle body, and it also has a 06 Civic header and no catalytic converter and a MagnaFlow exhaust. Also has a 50-degree VTEC on it, I believe. We're going to check and see what kind of horsepower we get out of this thing, and then maybe we'll take it for a little cruise and see how it stacks up against the winner of our Falcon Tire Super Saloon Shootout car. I'm just working on my trophy speech. Anyway, let's get it tuned. Okay, so we got a mega huge puddle under here, and it doesn't look like it's oil. It actually looks like it's transmission fluid. It looks like it's leaking from both seals, and the logical explanation for that is we use R18 axles on this, and I don't believe that those axles are actually the correct size for the SI seals. So we're going to have to take them out, do a quick measurement, and if there's a seal available, we'll do that. If not, we're probably going to wind up putting in SI axles. So dang, we thought we were learning something by being able to use R18 axles, and it looks like they may not work because of the axle seals. Anyway, we have another problem too. The car got really hot, and although we were able to get a little bit of water in there, I'm not positive the thermostat's working. So anyway, I got a big mess to clean up now.
Brian said that we have an axle leak, and he thinks that it's because we used the R18 axles in the K-series transmission, but the seal is different. There's different size there. So I'm going to take this apart and see what might be wrong. I don't like latex gloves. They're sticking to my wrench. Just like so. There it is. Just work it. And just as I suspected, I could tell something looked a little odd. We're actually missing the seal. That's why. There's no seal in that side either. So I have some seals right here.
Hey dummies, why don't you just put the SI axles in and save yourself a ton of trouble?
Get the hell out of here!
Well, that didn't work, so let's check these out. I have right here an R18 axle and an SI axle side by side, and if you look at it, the joint on the SI is significantly larger than it is on the engine with the R18. We would have had to change the knuckle in order to use this axle, and that just was going to be an expense we didn't need to add. So we found out, of course, that the inner seals from the SI work fine with the R18 axles. So we put those on the transmission that we had somehow left off, and everything worked out just fine. Now, Hasport is actually going to make an R18 axle that has that little bit of extra length that's needed for the one side of the axle that was on the borderline short side, but that should solve all the problems.
Okay, so Brian said that the air fuel sensor wasn't working properly, and I went through all the procedure and traced all the wires, made sure it was working good. And then, with my bad eyes, I noticed that the wire was chafed there. So I unscrewed it to get a better look and noticed that it rattled. And I tried to hold the washer. And if you can hear that, it sounds like a cat toy. The O2 is just bad. So we had a brand new one, 06 Civic, looked just like this, so I replaced it, and we'll see if that takes care of the problem.
He's tuning on the small lobe, making pretty good power there, and we'll probably do a few more runs like that, and then work on the high lobe.
But it's not switching.
It's not actually switching.
Yeah. So we hear it. I mean, it just goes.
Yeah. I can switch it out for I take it off an engine that I know is good and put the VTEC solenoid on it. We wound up placing the VTEC solenoid in order to get to go into VTEC. The screen was a little bit clogged up, but I think it was actually the VTEC solenoid that was bad. So that worked when we took it for test drive. Found another problem. We have a bad alternator. So that actually, the battery was dead. Tim noticed that the voltage was low last time. We took the car out, and I thought it was just because it sat a long time, but it turns out that looks like the alternator's not charging because it was pretty dead when we got here. So we've got it on a battery charger, make sure we got enough voltage, and he's going to do a little tune on it and see where we sit with horsepower. So let's check it out.
We got the K24 into our formerly R18 8th gen, and it's supposed to be an SI killer. So they got it dyno tuned, and it's supposed to race against Project Dadmobile sometime soon. But it's right here, so I think I want to take it for a test drive and see if it's really all that, or am I gonna do okay in a race against this heap. Let's see how this swap behaves. Oh, it says we need service. We're down to 0 miles. Oh my god. This steering. You're gonna need to do power steering with your K24 swapping these, because they don't have EPS like the SIs. Civic AG without power steering. Oh man, this sucker pulls. This thing is kind of nasty.
Did it go into VTEC?
Yes.
All right.
But it's kind of a beast.
Kind of a what?
Kind of a beast.
Kind of a beast.
But it doesn't turn for
We're working on our 07 Civic with our K-swap in there, and we were putting power steering in. And we've utilized, this is the piece from the R18 from the factory car, and then we took it down to our local store and had it crimped onto the K24, or probably an RSX pump piece. We clocked that.
Oh.
It's Brian, I bet. And with the K-swap, we also no longer have power steering pressure, but the switch is in there just to placehold that. We took our RSX end, we put that on our power steering pump, put that on the car, and then marked where we wanted our hose to have the clocking right, because you cannot twist this hose, so it's got to be in the right spot. Took it down to the Parker store and had them make a hose. Let's see what happens. Let's see this work. This will work out. This will work out very nice. Trying to find it is the fun part. Where did it go?
That's your home! Are you too good for your home? Answer me!
If you did it right, it should just screw right in.
Is it screwing right in?
It's screwing right in. It was just easier to go with this because it was already a piece that's here. It comes down behind the engine nicely, mounts to the subframe, keeps it all in check. When we first did this project, we weren't concerned with power steering, and it was not completely tangible at the moment, so we went and put an idler pulley on here to be able to run this car. And now that we want to put power steering on there, we've removed that. I put the power steering pump on, it's just sitting there. Factory reservoir tank sits right here. I have the line, that's the line that comes from the rack and comes back in. And then down here, this hose is connected that feeds the pump. This hose is just a bulk piece of hose that we found that was the right size, so you can go down to probably an AutoZone or anything and just get some oil-resistant hose that's the right size that will fit your barb, and find a happy routing spot through there. Right now, this is what you get. And here's our power steering line that we just put in down below. Plugs in perfect, bolts are right there, and we just have to find the correct belt to run without air conditioning, because we do not have air conditioning in this car right now. And we should be good to go. Pouring in fluid. I've turned the steering all the way to one side. So hopefully when I draw some fluid in, you can get rid of the air a little quicker. The problem is that whenever there's air in there and then you start the pump, it forces those bubbles through the pump and it foams the stuff up. Oh yeah, nice, it drew it down some. This may or may not be, I've never tried it this way because I've never done it super dry. Because even if I've rebuilt a power steering pump, the lines still had stuff in it. It drew it back down again, so this should make a mess. I'm gonna start it and see what happens. Nice. Well, it feels like there's power steering. Doesn't seem foamy or anything. It's not making a horrible noise.
Yeah, that's good.
This pump got left to atmosphere for I don't know how long. It was dusty and dirty and I didn't even clean it off. I forgot to do that. So, there you are.
We finally got this car dynoed and power steering working, which makes it much, much nicer to drive.
That thing was such a horrible driving car.
Particularly slow speeds around the parking lot. Oh, God, it was horrible. So anyway, we got that done, and you took it for a test drive. You thought it might be a little faster in your car, right?
I'm pretty sure it's going to smoke me.
All right. So basically, what we are doing is we're using an AIM Solo 2 so that we don't have to get out side by side on the street somewhere racing, which is kind of sketch. So
yeah, it's a bad idea.
Bad idea.
It's a bad look.
So we use the AIM, and that actually does a really nice job of GPS tracking your progress on the street, so you can tell you which acceleration is, and you can set up for 1/8 mile, 1/4 mile. We decided to go with 1/8 mile because still we were kind of on a rather deserted public street, but cops don't watch this show, do they?
The cool ones do.
Yeah, so we're taking it out with the Solo 2, and we're gonna see how these cars do.
Yeah.
Predictions?
My prediction is I'm probably going to lose. And
You said that last time.
I'm probably going to lose, but I'm used to being the underdog.
Yeah.
You know, I went against a K20, two K24s in the Super Saloon Shootout, and I did okay.
This time we have the two-door version of your chassis with a K24. So let's see how we do.
All
Are
right.
you ready?
All right, I guess I'll go first.
You go first. Back.
All right.
That was quick.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about this.
Okay. What are your
Because-
times?
Well, let's see. My best time
Best time.
was 11.05 at 70.4 miles per hour.
70.4 miles an hour. I did a little bit better than that.
I would say so. You,
Did a 10.15
yep.
at 74.5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's that torque.
oh, for sure. It was interesting because that was my first run, and I felt like I spun the tires a little more than I needed to. Apparently not. And the other thing is I bounced it off the rev limiter 3 times. And I used it more actually as a shift indicator rather than a rev limiter. And yet it was faster. And then my next time, I thought it was a little cleaner. It was actually slower. And I really thought about going back out and trying it again, but I was going to push my luck.
Well, this thing is a lot louder than my SI.
It is, and it attracts a little attention. So, not surprisingly,
Yeah.
the K24 is faster in the same chassis. So, and pretty much your newer all-season tires are probably very equal to my 10-year-old R88s
I don't know.
of the same size. Oh, those things are pretty hard.
Oh man, those are pretty grippy, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, also, this is gonna sound like an excuse because I lost, but I had the air conditioning on.
Oh, it turns off at full throttle.
Does it?
Yeah.
Well, it was full throttle for maybe half the run.
Now, there is a thing that I wasn't dragging around a compressor. I don't have one on this engine. So, but I do have power steering pump,
That's
and you
true.
do not. So
Maybe
we'll
it's
say
a wash.
equal.
Maybe it's a wash.
Yeah, maybe it's a wash.
But if you swap a K24 into a non-SI 8th gen, is it an SI killer?
It's an SI killer. And it's cheaper than trying to get an SI motor and put it in there. Because the SI motors are bank. Yeah, the K24 TSX motors, we bought this one for $300. And it was a good deal. I mean, don't get me wrong, we had to change the oil pump, and I opted for the Type R oil pump, which wound up being almost as expensive as
The difference?
as the difference. Yeah. Well, not really as the difference between the two motors, because you're going to be hard pressed to buy this motor for anything less than $1,000. Honestly, you might find it for $800 or so, but they're going to be $1,000. This engine, $300 to $750.
All day.
Yeah, and then the oil pan is available aftermarket. You do not actually need to do anything or put a Type R oil pump on. You could actually put an 06 Civic Si oil pump on. There's you can buy those for less money than the oil pan if you buy them used. So the motor wasn't horrible. You know what I mean? It worked out. I mean, we did some modifications to it. Had I left the TSX manifold on, that causes an issue and stuff. But I guess if all the modifications, it's the same price as had I bought that K20. If the Type R oil pump, the oil pan, the intake manifold, and throttle body. And this throttle body is just an Accord throttle body. It's not even a big throttle body like.
So that might even
there.
be a little bit of a bottleneck there.
Yeah, exactly. So
But it is dyno tuned.
it is dyno
Versus
tuned for sure.
stock.
Yeah,
Whatever it
versus
came
stock
from
tuned.
the factory 200,000
Yeah,
miles
we should probably
ago.
put it on the dyno and see what it does.
So that brings us to the end of
This particular
R18 to K series.
Yeah, R18
journey.
to K series. It's done. So I think a couple things. I got to figure out what I'm going to put this motor in, because I'm not sure I want to take the oil pump off and the pan off. So I don't know. Maybe we can find a carb legal tune for this car. If we did that, that would be nice.
The
If not,
K24.
I've got back there. I've got a hybrid.
30 cars back there.
Well, I've got a hybrid Civic
Yeah.
that would use the same setup. So I don't know if you've ever seen my drawing of my land speed car 4-door sedan Civic.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that would be a nice start for that.
That'd be dope.
Yeah, that'd be nice. We're gonna watch an accident happen here.
We're gonna see if somebody gets C-boned here.
Yeah, no,
Either way,
they lived. So
we did it. They're probably trying to find the dispenser. It's right down there, guys.
Yeah,
No, well, or maybe they did. and
maybe they already found it.
They
Now
already
they're-
found it. That's why they're like, "Where are we, man?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Turn around here."
exactly. I think next we're gonna make some mounts for an L15 motor in this. We're gonna see if the K20C fits well in this, and the J series motor in this. You guys have a preference? What car engine you'd like to see in this?
Drop a comment.
Yeah, drop
Down
a comment
below.
down below. Think
Or-
about liking and subscribing. So
No,
that,
don't think about it.
Don't think, just do.
Just freaking do it. Stop thinking about it. Stop sleeping on it. It's free.
Yeah, it
Like,
is.
subscribe.
And it helps us.
Share.
Yeah, and then when we put our new motor in, you can see what we do.
then I'll get smoked by another engine in the same chassis.
Well, obviously.
But thanks for joining us for another episode of VTEC Academy. I really appreciate it. And like we said, please like and subscribe. That helps us get to more people, and supporting the channel is important. We can get more projects like this going. All right, guys, got anything to say before we go?
Later.
Peace out.